welcome to Run Good Lifestyle, the Sportsbook edition. And I want to welcome Sammy DeBowl back. Finally, we're getting into back in form after the New Year. Sammy's got his happy 2006 New Year stuff behind him, and he goes in and out of the screen. I can't really. There he is. Welcome, Sammy.
Thank you. Good morning.
Morning. So let's dive right into it. The games, for the most part, I didn't think were great, with the exception of the Ole Miss Georgia game, which was obviously, in my opinion, the best game of the best game of the of all the college football playoff games, and going to talk a little bit about why I think that is the reason that they weren't. Some of them weren't very good, but I want to start off with the Indiana-Alabama game. And really not much here, with the exception that Indiana is by far the best team in the nation. And that game in particular, they were better in every position. I mean, it wasn't even close. And the score was reflective of that. Again, I think they're the best team in college football. I think Cignetti has proven to be, if not the best coach in college football, he's in the top 5 best coaches. And what amazed me most about seeing them play in this game, they didn't make any mistakes. They were focused. They didn't. In every aspect of the game, there was not one position, not one situation that I felt, of course they made some bad plays, but their focus was, I don't know what Cignetti does, but whatever he does, people are going to try to figure it out, because that was amazing. They were the one team out of all the teams that were in the bye week that looked completely focused and in tune. And they were the only team that won, if I'm not mistaken. So, and in the last 2 years. So we'll get into that a little bit better. But, a little bit of, before I let Sammy go crazy here, I want to talk about some of the stats that I looked up. So they ran the ball 50 times. They passed the ball 16 times. They have the Heisman Trophy winner, and they passed the ball 16 times. Mendoza, of those 16, was 14 of 16. You talk about being on point. That's pretty amazing. They ran for 215 yards. I think that's correct. And after such a layoff, what made them, in my opinion, what made them so dominant in this game was they didn't have to throw the ball. They controlled the line of scrimmage. And we're going to get into that about some of the other games where, the teams that were, Sammy, you're fading in and out, by the way. I don't know if you noticed that, but you look like the Ghostbusters. So anyway, I don't know if people noticed just how dominant they were in that game, not just by the score. I'm talking about just in every facet. So I'm gonna let you go with that, and then I have little things about Alabama that I want to get to, but I want you to go ahead and give your piece.
So let's start off with the comments that I agree with you on. About 85% of what you said.
Okay, well, that's highly unusual.
Yeah, so this podcast would suck if I agreed with you on everything, so I have to pick apart that 15%.
I agree. And I'm here for it.
Indiana dominated. You're absolutely right. Everything that you said was pretty on par, except when you say that Indiana by far is the best college football team out there, that may or may not be true. Indiana barely beat Ohio State on a neutral field. Ohio State got crushed by Miami. And again, I know that it's not fair to do that, but if I'm going to make an argument, I would say with the way that Miami dominated Ohio State, and I'm sure we'll get to that down the road, I would put Miami up there with the 1 game sample size.
Yeah.
And I think that Miami
they've laid some eggs. And, I don't think that. Go ahead. This is your floor. Sorry.
Miami and Indiana, I think, would be a great game if they played today. But when you say by far, I thought Ohio State was by far the best team in the country, and then they had 2 losses in a row. So that's why they play the games.
Right.
And I would take away the by far. So that's the one nitpick I have on you.
Okay.
The other is when you say Cignetti is probably one of the top 5 coaches in the country, and I agree with that presently.
Better. I mean, that's a no-brainer.
Kirby Smart's won 2. They lost. Brian Day, I would say, is maybe not a top 5, but he's up there. Maybe a top 5, but he lost. So I would just like to see the verdict's still out for me on Cignetti. I give him all the credit in the world. I think that he presently probably is a top 5, maybe even a top 2. But I want to see
maybe
that
sustained.
He did it for 1 year. He had a good year last year. Before I put him on a top 5 coaching carousel, I would just like to see how things happen after he has a lot of folks graduate this year, how he bounces back next year. And again, that's not to take anything away from him. I like everything about him, or most everything about him. I'm just not ready to call him a top 5 coach yet.
Okay, well, I'm going to stay on that topic because I don't think you're giving enough credit to him. And here's why. He goes to Indiana, who had the most inept college football program in all of Division I. And not only did he, turn it around. Turn it around at Indiana is maybe going 500, turning it around at Indiana and having the best team in the country. Hold still, Sam. You're making me dizzy. Holy shit. Oh, pay attention. Turning it around and having the best team in the country and really dominating an Alabama storied program is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, turnaround in college football history. So, geez, you need to get yourself together, bro. You're making me dizzy. Holy shit! Quit dancing? Oh my god! And so anyway, try to stay on point without.
Anytime I can distract you is a good time.
I mean, not only are you distracting, it's annoying. So anyway, with that being said, I don't know how you don't give him the credit of being.
I do. For this 1 year and last year, I give him a lot of credit. My point is, I'll even give him the number 1 coach in the nation this year. Give him the MVP.
Oh, of course. That's not even a question.
Yeah, I just want to see sustainability. I'm not saying he's not a good coach.
Hey, all he does is win. Google him. I mean,
and somebody that talks smack and can back it up, I can appreciate that as well.
Yeah, 100%. I don't even like the guy.
Let me make 2 other comments about this particular game or this particular team. Okay.
All right, go ahead. Well, we're off Cignetti. I am right. You're wrong. Go ahead.
You're not listening then, because I'm giving him credit. I just want to see.
You said he's only 1 year. I agree with maybe sustainability, but he's done everywhere he's gone. He's won. Go ahead.
I agree. I loved it that they gave the MVP to an offensive lineman. Thought it was great.
Yeah, I thought so too, and they deserved it, in my opinion.
Completely agree.
But they could have done both lines because both lines were dominant.
Yeah, agreed.
So that part of it, if you're going to do that, I would have liked to see a player from each side come in. We have a legend in the house that just joined us.
Can I make one last comment?
Yeah, and then hurry up, because I gotta let the legend in. Go ahead.
All right. I think that Kurt Cignetti and Mendoza have a lot of similarities in terms of their quirkiness. especially on camera.
Right.
That's
Well,
all. I just think they're a little goofy, not in a bad way, but just a little goofy. Maybe not used to the camera, but I think their mannerisms, their facial expressions when the camera's on them are just very
unlike Lane Kiffin, who just dominates the camera. Is that what you're saying? With that, I'm going to welcome the legendary Grant Lewis, an Ole Miss grad and an all-around homer for Ole Miss. Welcome.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you. Welcome. Thank you.
This is Sammy DeBull. He, what's good about Sammy is he always takes it, well, not always, usually takes the opposite side of me, and he is usually wrong. So it works out great for me.
Well, Alan, I think I did see in a prior episode that Sammy DeBull is high on Miami.
Yeah, he was high on Miami. He was originally the guy that said early on Miami was one of the best it was the best team in the nation early on, and then they had a couple losses, and I busted his balls about it, and now it came back to haunt me. So
I've been on the spectrum all over the place with Miami this year.
Well, you are on the spectrum a little bit, so that works out well.
Well, I can't speak to Sammy DeBull's got a lot of football knowledge. He gets down to the X's and O's and the nitty gritty. I'm more of a broad view, Sammy.
and that's why you're such an expert, because you can handle a wide spectrum of speculation. I call it.
It's hard to commit to anything.
Fan, have to ask if you're anywhere close to like a level-headed Ole Miss fan. Did you expect what you saw out of them?
No, I've been on a long journey as an Ole Miss fan. And so these last 6-8 years, we've seen the whole cycle. But no, we thought last year was our playoff chance. They spent the NIL all on the roster, got all the big defensive players. And this year was going to be a rebuild year. We had a brand new quarterback and an unheralded second string running back from Missouri, their backup, Kejuan Lacey. So no, Sammy, I did not expect. No Ole Miss fan could say they expected this.
Right.
I was happy for you guys.
Yeah, me too. Especially with the Lane Kiffin debacle. I mean, that's pretty cool. We're gonna get into that a little bit, but let's move because they come up after the Ohio State Miami discussion. Do we want to? Since we have the Ole Miss guy, let's just bring it in. Let's just bring up the Georgia Ole Miss game, because obviously that was the most. I was going to save that to last because it was by far the most entertaining game of the weekend, not weekend. It feels like a weekend of the first round of game or second round of games. So the final score was 39-34, and it's well documented about how Lane Kiffin just leaves, and the coaching staff, you got to give the guys that are there, Golding and what's the head
Joe
coach?
Judge, Charlie
Weiss, all those guys.
Yeah.
You got to give them credit. But from a player perspective, there cannot be much trust. I mean, there has to be like so much distrust in those guys. Like, you kidding me? You guys, we're not good enough? Okay, let's show you. And that brings up a very good point about leadership and having a quarterback that is a leader. And Trinidad Chambliss, I mean, I don't know much. I don't follow Ole Miss, but I could just tell, Sammy can relate this because we read people for a living, or not living, in poker. And I could just see that team responding to that quarterback like I've not seen any other quarterback in a long time. Just take that team and they believe in him, and he's a true leader. I want to get your perspective on him.
He is a true leader. He's a 2-time national champion at Ferris State. Yeah. And this summer, I think the story is that Charlie Weiss Jr. was scrolling through Twitter and actually found the highlights of Trinidad, and then they got him to, in the portal. And he was going to be a backup, possibly a third down specialist for a run or something like that. And then all of a sudden, our main quarterback goes out, and Trinidad comes in, balls out. and then you could just see his teammates respond around him. He's got a good way about him.
Yeah, I could just see that. He went 30 for 46, 362 yards, 2 TDs. I mean, that's a stat line, bro. I mean, against a Georgia team, Georgia's no slouch. I mean, it was impressive to me. Anyway, Sammy, let's get your take on Trinidad.
Let me ask Grant a question first. Has Trinidad played as well as he did in this game? Did he play like that all year, or was this just kind of a coming out game for him, Grant?
Overall, he played really well in a lot of games. In the first Georgia game, in the fourth quarter, he kind of it was a pretty big moment, and he missed some passes that he normally makes, but he's been playing well all season. Now, he didn't freestyle as much, like in the couple plays where he threw the last the 40-yard gain that got us into field goal. Now, he was doing that all season, but I think they just kind of like took the reins off of him this game too. And plus, Georgia's defense is pretty good as well.
Yeah, I mean,
I was thoroughly impressed. I mean, there was one time, I don't know exactly where they had the ball. Let's call it the 30-yard line of their own 30. And he ran as far back as almost the end zone and then came forward and then just completed a long pass for the first down. I mean, I was so impressed with him. I thought that, it seems like a great kid as well. He talked about his mom a lot. Just a great kid overall, and just a spectacular effort and result of what he put out in that game.
I agree totally, Sammy. And he's, when he came in that first game, and he was pretty composed, and, he's won a lot of football games. I mean, he's won a lot. The story is that, like, the first game he played, there were 65,000 people there, and that's as most people as he played in total at Fair State in the 4 years. And he has just won a lot of football games. You can see, like, did you see the shuffle pass he had out to the running back? I mean, that's just football right there.
You don't teach that.
Yeah, you can't teach that.
Right. Obviously, I was super impressed with not only his play. I mean, he's a super superior athlete, obviously, but I was just more in tune to his leadership capabilities and how that. I think that team really rallies around him. But the guy that I said had the stones. How about the kicker, Lucas? How do you pronounce his last name?
Carniero.
Yeah, Carniero.
That was money.
Three field goals, one 55, 56, the other one 57, and then of course the game winner 47-yarder. I mean, man, come on, boy, that guy got some stones.
Oh, for sure. He's a transfer from Western Kentucky here in Bowling Green.
Yeah, and I heard that. Yep.
Yeah, and I think he's going to be the top kicker in the portal, and I'm hoping we can keep him. But the story is that in practice, I have what's called a Fast Friday, where they just run through game scenarios, and he actually missed 2 field goals in the practice, which was not like him. And so they were telling that story after the game that he was really, he's been really good all season.
So
we had a comment
with
the Stones. So thanks for the comment.
Al, a comment. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine. We haven't muted you yet, Sammy. You're close.
So if anybody has watched Georgia specifically this year,
how do you not watch Georgia? They're always on TV.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, go ahead.
But they always seem to be down. They always seem to play poor, except for the last few games up until the Ole Miss game. But they always seem to do something to win the game in the end. Against Tennessee, it was a missed field goal by Tennessee. It's not necessarily what Georgia did, but Georgia has just been a winner all year long.
They find ways to win.
Kirby
Smart's a hell of a coach, and they have great talent.
He is.
No secret sauce.
When Ole Miss had that mess up right before the end of the half, I thought that was going to be the crumbling point of just the downward spiral. And I thought that Georgia was going to come into the second half and have all the momentum, and that was going to be a blowout from that point on. And then I thought that the coaches, obviously not really having a lot of game time situations, I didn't think that they were going to adjust very well. I thought that was just the mistake that they made about the clock management there.
That was on the player though. I don't think that was a
negative.
coaching error. I think the guy. I mean, that the play was set up for him to run out of bounds.
Yeah, he just didn't run out of bounds. Yeah,
he just did. I mean, it was perfect.
But how do coaches, not necessarily a coaching error, but how do coaches respond to that, right? And how do players respond?
Agree. I thought the commentators of that game though, just like really lit into the coaching more than the player about. That wasn't a coaching error. That was a player error. But
yeah,
go ahead. I wanted to bring that up, but go ahead.
Yeah, they had that
second half was fantastic.
You got to get in there quick, Grant. Sam is a talker.
Yeah, he's a pro. He's a pro. It's my first time here, but yeah, like with Kiffin leaving, there's a lot of talent on that staff. You got Joe Judge, former New York Giants coach. Charlie Weiss has been there the whole time. There's a lot of experience. Golding, while it's not as heralded as many other Saban, off the Saban tree, he's got a lot of game experience. And I was disappointed with the announcers, which is usually the case you're watching an Ole Miss game. But they put that on but they had the footage of Joe Judge throwing his headset down and all that. So it would just kind of led into that. But I'm with you, Sammy. I thought it was over at that point. But when Ole Miss came out in the third quarter and stopped Georgia's run, I was like, wow, we might have something going here.
Right. Yeah. I think everybody, I mean, just expected after that to have Georgia just come out, hair on fire, a lot of talent, good coaching, and just roll. And it wasn't the case, man. And again, I go back, and I don't remember the specific play, but the transfer from Penn State, that Trey Wallace,
yeah.
Is that his name? He had 9 receptions, 156 yards. He had that big catch I think you talked about earlier. He had a TD, and those two guys, those two guys were key into just not giving. They just didn't quit. And there was a pass play, and it wasn't a huge one. It was a third down. I can't remember the exact scenario. And the players seemed a little rattled, and Chambliss just brought them together. You could just see like everybody was focused on him, and that was the point where I'm like, wow, this kid's special in the leadership department. So
yeah, I totally agree, Alan.
Yeah. So moving forward, I'd be interested to get your take on the next game. We're getting ahead of ourselves, so I was going to wait, but what do you see there?
I haven't watched much Miami. I did see the Louisville game, where Louisville beat them, because I think Miami lost a couple games in a 2-week period. But their defensive line, I think, is going to have to be something to be reckoned with when we play Miami.
Yeah, I mean, I think that defensive line was better. I mean, that was one of the best games that I've seen him play. It looks like we lost Sammy DeBull. I hope I didn't offend him too much. We always have some technical difficulties on this show, or this live stream, so that's not unusual for us. So anyway, so I think they're 3.5-point underdogs, and they're playing in Georgia. How far of a drive is that?
Well, they're playing in Arizona.
Oh, they're playing Arizona?
Yeah, they play in the Fiesta Bowl. So both Miami and Ole Miss play Fiesta Bowl, yeah. Oh, I wish it was the Peach. I wish it was the Peach to be a little closer.
Well, I think it would be close for both. That's why I was going to get your take. Shit. Okay, well, I got that incorrect. So they're in Arizona. How do you think Ole Miss will travel?
I think they'll travel okay. This is the next biggest game in their history. The last one was the biggest game, and the one before that was the biggest game. So you've got a lot of people that are hungry to experience it all, and I think we've got a chance against Miami, and I think a lot of people will get there. I mean, they drove a lot. When we won the national championship in baseball, they drove from Mississippi to Omaha like it was nothing.
Right. All right. So they travel pretty well.
So we'll see.
Yeah. Well, I mean, honestly, with Lane Kiffin there, Ole Miss was for me a hard team to root for, and after that game, I mean, I've become obviously a Trinidad Chambliss fan, and I think they've become the team that's easily able to root for now.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
I mean, I just think that a good group of talented kids, and I don't think that I didn't realize how talented they were. I thought, okay, they have a few good players. That's what I thought after watching that game. I mean, man,
they've got some playmakers.
Yeah, yeah.
And I Kiffin, we got the good and the bad with Kiffin. He won a lot of games, 50 games in 5 years. And he did put up, he's obviously a good talent evaluator through the portal. And, he picked off some good players, and I'm hoping we can keep that up without him.
Yeah, I mean, that portal's huge for these teams now. I mean, it's just, it evens the playing field with, you got some boosters that are able to bring in some NIL. But, there's, speaking of the portal, there's been some misses, some big misses. Ohio State missed on some players this year, which I think hurt. Well, we'll talk about that later. But, Sammy, I didn't mean to cut you off. Do you have anything to add?
I had some technical difficulties there. So
I told Grant that's normal for us.
True. Usually you, not me. Two things.
Agreed.
Two things on this game. Grant, I've heard some rumblings about some of these coaches at Mississippi State, or Ole Miss, sorry. Some of these coaches at Ole Miss are going to consider staying instead of going with Lane Kiffin. Is there any? Yeah.
You heard it here first. Oh
no,
my God.
Yeah.
I'm seeing like the ESPN ticker come through. Grant, what's your not what your hope is, but what are you hearing? Is there any truth to that?
Well, I think that Kiffin's a pretty good marketer and gets his word out, and I think that he puts stuff out as far as which coaches he wants and which ones that are staying. But we've already had 2 or 3 stay, but I think that, of course, Charlie Weiss is going back to LSU, and then some of the assistant position coaches will go back to LSU. But I think we're going to keep a few, and we've already hired a few. We've hired the Frank Wilson, the interim coach at LSU. He's back on, and a lot of these coaches that are new coaches for Ole Miss, including their new offensive coordinator, are sitting in the player rooms, I'm hearing, this week, with the coaches that are going to leave, just to kind of put a check on things.
Hey, that can't hurt things, can it? Having some more eyes and brains in that. I think that's awesome.
Outside of the obvious and Lane Kiffin leaving, who is the next most impactful coach that's leaving that may hurt you all long term? Is it Charlie Weiss Jr.?
It's got to be. I mean, because he's called the offense. From the of course all the stuff's coming out now, but he calls 90% of the offense. And Kiffin was pretty elite game day and game plan, and trying to he can see stuff that other coaches probably can't. And so that was one of the things when we continued on with Golding, is what would that offense look like? And against Georgia, it looked pretty much the same, which was nice to see.
Yeah, it was. It looked better, honestly. I just think, again, that Trinidad, to use your words, Grant, freestyled a lot, and that was good for him. That was good for the team. I think you got to let some of that athleticism shine through, and it did.
I agree, and I don't think Kiffin would have taken those 2 field goals either.
That was the point that I forgot. I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah. I mean, Kiffin was more aggressive in that manner. So that's that, and they're not chip shots. I mean, they're 50+ yarders. I mean, I was even like, man, I think I'd go for it here, But it turned out.
Didn't he go? And I could be mixing games up, but didn't he go for it a couple of times and not get it as well, though?
I think that's the Oregon game, wasn't it?
That was the Oregon game. You're right.
I don't remember those guys going for it.
You're right, Al. Hate to say that. Hey, something else that I hate to say, and maybe we'll transition out of this after this comment. 2 comments. Who would have ever thought that side of the bracket would have Miami and Ole Miss?
Not me.
For me, I didn't expect it. I would have thought that would be the last thing. So I'm going to answer my own question here. And as much as I hate to do this, I have to give Alan some credit. On the last podcast, he had mentioned that how Ole Miss was fired up against Tulane, and he really liked what he had to see about in them. And I said yes, but it was against Tulane. I don't think they're going to be able to carry that over to the Georgia game. And Allen, in fact, picked Ole Miss straight up. So I've got to give Allen some credit, although it pains me to do so. I have to give credit where credit is due.
Yeah. I mean, I just felt like and I didn't realize this Trinidad Chambliss was going to be the leader that I didn't see that, but I thought the players had a chip on their shoulder that you can't put I don't know, I won't say a price, but you can't implement that into the game plan because that's part of college football that is the equalizer in some of these games.
Yeah, they're definitely galvanized right now, because they feel slighted by Kiffin and they're just out to prove. And they got free shots now. I mean, they're playing with the house money, as y'all like to say.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed. All right, let's move on to the Ohio State game, which this obviously Sam and I are huge Ohio State fans, and I had a great experience. I was able to go. Both of you guys know my buddy Tim Edwards. Was able to go to the game with my boys and sat on the field, 1-2 rows up from our seats were 1 and 2 rows up, and the box was the field box below the field. It was just an amazing experience. That being said, the rest of it was a dud. I mean, and we're going to get into some of this later about the number 1 seeds, or the bye teams. But that first half, Ohio State was flat, to say. I mean, not only just offensively, but the missed tackles, the missed assignments on offense. And the second half, I think we played better, but still missed a lot of stuff. But that being said, Ohio State was exposed. They were exposed by Indiana. The weakest part of our team is our offensive, or was, we're not, that's not, this team has passed, was the offensive line, particularly, as Sam said, giving him credit, the right side of our offensive line. And they just absolutely took it to us. But that being said, not only their defensive line was better, their offensive line was better, which totally shocked me. Their offensive line just totally controlled our defensive line. You didn't see Orville Reese or Curry. You didn't hardly hear their names making huge plays, and that's something that I did not see. And I don't know if that was. I'm not an X's and O's guy when it comes to football, so it's hard for me to say it was coaching or not coaching. All I'm saying is that those games, all these big games are normally won in the trenches, and Miami was the better on both sides of the ball. Go ahead. Any comments? I know Sam has a bunch of comments, but go ahead.
Yeah, let him go. I did not see a lot of that game, just the highlights, but I don't know. Miami just looked like they just a little bit wanted it more. Can you say? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, it is fair to say, but I just don't think we were. I don't know about wanting it more. They definitely played with a purpose that we did not have, and I think we were flat to begin with. But we were on our heels all day. I mean, from an offensive standpoint.
Do you think those guys? Do you see a trend with all the teams that got a bye? They all came out kind of.
Well, we're going to talk about that later. That's a whole topic. Why? How I think. What I think and what others are saying about moving forward, how this college football playoffs, if you want it to be truly a college football playoff system, how it should go moving forward. But we'll get into that. Go ahead, Sam. You tell me what your take is on the game, because I know you have a lot of them.
Yeah. All credit to Miami. Give them a lot of credit. They beat us. They flat out beat us in most phases of the game. Unlike Ellen, you and I had a disagreement about Indiana. I thought we played Indiana pretty equal, and you said Indiana outplayed us. I disagree, but that's the past.
Well, hold on. If you're going to say, I said we were exposed. I didn't say they outplayed. I think they're the better team. The numbers didn't show that they dominated, but they exposed our offensive line. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. And I thought that was going to be easily corrected with Tegra going out and our backup coming in, because the backup actually played a lot better on the right side of the line when Tegra's a first name of a offensive tackle that did not play well against Indiana. So I thought his backup did well against Indiana, and then we saw that we moved the ball against Indiana in the second half pretty well. I think, and I'm going to disagree with you, and the only disagreement I have with you here, Al, of what you said, I don't think our defensive line was that bad. I think that they were equal, our defensive line and their offensive line. And yes, you didn't see Arvell Reese, and you didn't see Sonny Styles and a few of them that usually dominate. But you're not going to see domination when you have two teams that are fairly equal with one offensive line and one defensive line. Where I think that really hurt us is our defense was on the field so much that in the second half, when we were supposed to be stopping them, when we knew the run was coming, we should have had, 1 or 2 yards tackle. We were just fatigued. We were tired. We were out there too long. And that's where Miami showed up. And yet that's usually where we show up because we have the depth. And, and we didn't.
I sort of agree with that. So some stats here. They rushed the ball 37 times, 153 yards. They committed themselves to the run because they were able to run the ball. Now, they were 7 for 13 on third downs. And normally we dominate that from a defensive standpoint. But the reason I don't know all the particulars here. This is just my opinion. The reason they were so good on third downs they were third and shorts. They were second and 6, then 3rd and 2 or 3rd and 4. So that's what I'm saying. They dominate. They controlled the game. That's my opinion.
I thought Carson Beck was going to be a detriment. Whereas
they didn't make it. They didn't make him make plays
very well.
He did
what he needed to do.
Okay, there's the statement that
some of his runs, right? I mean, he's a big guy. He never really ran in the past. Some of his runs to keep those third downs going and get a new fresh set of downs. I give him a lot of credit for managing that game well.
Man, he managed the game. We didn't make him beat us. So and unfortunately, I thought they actually were trying to stop the run, but I think your point is valid that at the end of the second half, they were just on the field too much, and our defense isn't used to that.
So let's talk about our offense, because I don't think our defense was horrible by any means.
Not horrible. I just think their offensive line did what they did. They controlled us. They did what they wanted to do. We didn't take them out of their game plan whatsoever. They did whatever.
We had a 3 and out. We had a 3 and out when they first got the ball. I mean, that's the greatest start you can possibly ask for, and then we just lay an egg on offense. And I'm going to continue to blame the offense, because the offense, as poor as they were, they put our defense on the field way, way too much.
I agree. I'm agreeing. I'm just saying we weren't better on defense than their offensive line. That's all I'm saying.
In the end, we were not. And during the game, I would call it a 50-50.
Oh, you're a homer. This is the highest state
here's
bias.
The problem on the offensive side, especially in the first half. Some people want to blame play calling, and maybe true.
No,
our execution was just horrible. I mean, we could not stop their one offensive or defensive lineman, and then the other one was good and showed up in the second half. But in the first half, we just got crushed. Our execution was bad. Now, can you say, hey, maybe roll Sayan out a little bit, maybe get him on the move? Maybe
we did not make any adjustments to your point. I agree. I hate to agree with you, but you are correct. We made no adjustments. They didn't change the pocket at all. Yeah. I agree.
And that pick six just absolutely killed us.
I have a whole breakdown of that.
I can hear a lot of pain. I hear a lot of pain.
Yeah, it was just a horrible throw, a horrible execution in general. But listen, let's move ahead to the second half. I thought Ryan Day did a very good job of making adjustments on the offensive side. Where I was really disappointed is I could be off on the timing here, but our first drive where we scored the touchdown, we took like 8 to 9 minutes off the clock.
Right.
We had zero sense of urgency on the offensive side to where, like, hey, we need to be calling these plays a little quicker. We need to be going a little more tempo. It was just like we weren't losing the game. It was like, all right, let's take all 35 seconds of the play clock down. Let's run the ball quite often, which was fine, but zero sense of urgency to say, hey, we're only going to get another 2 or 3 possessions. Like, what the heck is Day thinking there about not trying to speed things up?
I need you to take a breath. All right.
I'm fired up.
I know. You can't tell.
It hurts, Sammy. Sometimes it hurts.
Well, I'm in agreement. Pretty much everything there you said. I mean, the sense of urgency was not there. The problem, what up tempo, and I know the part of the reason we didn't, in my opinion, that we didn't do the up tempo is because our defense was, like to your point earlier, our defense had been on the field a lot. They didn't. I'm assuming they didn't want to put their defense in anymore. They want to give them some rest. I will give a little leniency to why we didn't up tempo there on that. But to your point, we don't, just because we're in a huddle. And honestly, I think that if we would have done up tempo, they weren't able to get their sets and get their big guys in the positions, have their calls, everybody on the defensive line being in sync and on point. So I think that would have negated some of the pressure. But that being said, all the stuff we've talked about, it still came down to, we had the ball with 6 minutes left to go win the game. All that said, I mean, which was amazing to me after I looked back on it. So it really came down to that pick six, and I want to talk about it a little bit because I looked at it, I reviewed it. Talk about it hurts. I reviewed it like I broke it down like the best I could, not being a non-football player, but we lost Sammy because this is my shining moment.
I'm here. I'm listening.
Okay, good. If you look at that play, it should have been a successful play if 2 things happened. One, Smith missed his block. All the stuff being said about, his talent, which he's amazing, no question. He missed the block. Number one, the read is the guy that they're in a bunch formation, right? And this is something that I see from Ohio State a lot. When they're in a bunched form, whatever you call that, not form, but in their formation, and then the tight end goes in motion towards that bunch, that's usually a screen. And it was, having 1,000 days to prepare, Miami did, they probably saw that on film like, hey, this is a screen. And that, kudos to the Miami defense. They read that defense. Now, the only read Sand has, and Sand was rattled. I don't care what anybody says. Sand was rattled. He wasn't as accurate. He had the happy feet. He made some great plays in the second half, and I don't want to take that away from him. But that first half, he was rattled. His head was spinning, and he just couldn't get rid of that ball quick enough. He didn't make any reads. He should have. The only read he has is that defender coming up and being able to get in between him and the receiver, the football and the receiver. And so, 1, Smith misses a block. 2, Sand doesn't make the correct read, even though he doesn't see, or if he would have seen that, he could have still completed that pass with a little air underneath the ball. And that play is a first down at least, and maybe a touchdown. If he gets air underneath that ball instead of throwing a dime like a line drive, we have a touchdown, or we have a first down for sure. And that changes the whole complexion of the game. So breaking that play down. Did you say
if he makes that block? Because
Correct.
How do we get the touchdown if he doesn't make that block that he missed?
Well, that's what I'm saying. He gets.
I'm asking for clarification.
So if he, If that guy misses that ball, he's out of the play. That's how. I mean, Smith doesn't need to block him. Does that make sense?
Okay, that's all I asked for was clarification.
Yeah, if he just gets a little air under the, one of the two things happen. Smith makes the block, Sand makes the read. Either one of those things happen, it's a first down at least, and maybe a touchdown. So, I mean, it's.
I didn't break the play down like you did, Al, but I can just say this as a rule of thumb over the last 2 seasons. That stupid wide receiver bubble screen has not worked for us in 2 freaking seasons. You tell me a time where we've taken it to the house or got.
Well, I mean, taking it to the house, I don't think that play is designed to be a yes, a big play, but it's designed taking it to. So every play, if it doesn't take it to the house, it's not a good play.
Failed a lot more than it has succeeded in the last 2 years we've ran it. We need to take it off of our playbook. I'm
gonna get the crack staff on that and see how many times it's been successful. I take the over on success.
This is your podcast. I'm gonna have you do all the research and you get back with me.
I already did. They already told me it's been successful more than it's not been successful.
No, I don't believe it.
Well, you're after your own research.
I'm hearing.
All right, let's hear. Oh, you didn't see the game, so it's hard for you to make any comments. I've really had enough of talking about Ohio State. I really wanted to break that play down. Moving forward, we're still in good shape. We have a solid coaching staff, and we recruit well. We're going to be back. It's just really tough to. It's really tough to swallow.
Is it true that Ohio State spent the most on NIL for a roster? Is that true?
That was last year.
It may have been last year, and let me clarify that, Grant.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Money spent last year was to retain our existing players. It wasn't to go out and get more. I mean, granted, we did. We got Caleb Downs, we got Will Howard, but the majority, I'd say, 70% of that fund. I think the stat was like 19 million. That was to retain our existing players.
Wow.
Yeah, that's true.
Sam is
correct. Yeah, I mean, and I want to get into that. So let's get to the last game, the Oregon-Texas Tech game.
Hey, Al, let me just say one thing, and I want to ask you this question, being an Ohio State fan as well.
I'll take you over one thing.
Did you feel a little bit better after Georgia lost, and I don't know if you saw Kirby Smart's post-conference, but I felt it eased the pain for me a little bit. I mean, Kirby is a class act guy. He's a great coach, X's and O's, and he just put it out there and said they played better than us. We got out-coached, we got outplayed, we got out everything.
I've always liked Kirby. I think he's not only a good coach, I think he's a good person. If I had a kid that was able to go to college, I would want him to play for Ryan Day. I'd want him to play for Kirby Smart. And the jury's out on Cignetti. He's just a goofball, but he's good. And
he's pretty good.
Yeah. Sam says he's not a top 5 coach.
I did not say that. I said that he's had a great year this year, and he had a very good year last year, considering what he had to deal with.
Let's don't regress. I should have never brought that up. We've already talked about it.
Verdict's still out in terms of I want to see his longevity. 5 years down the road, 3 years down the road, where is he?
He's been coaching for 8 years. He's been Googling. All he does is win.
That's true. Well, I got to jump off. You got any more Ole Miss questions? And I'll tune in later for the breakdown of the game.
I do.
All right.
I want a prediction of Ole Miss Miami and why you think what you predicted is going to happen.
Wow, it's a good one. I think it'll be about like the last game. Not as quite as high scoring. Maybe I'm an Ole Miss fan, so I'm going to say we win. But I think 27, 21, 20, 24, 20, 27, 21. Because That's kind of what I'm feeling. Ole Miss wins.
That would cover and be the under.
Yeah.
So
I don't know.
51.5 is the over under, and
Yeah.
3.5 Miami.
That's just my take, but I'm no. That's just kind of what I'm feeling. I think there'll be a lot of the players will be tight.
What's your biggest concern, Grant?
I think that although Trinidad gives us a chance because of his mobility, but our offensive line, if they can't hold up to that defensive line, but he might pick them apart too. If he gets time, he could pick that secondary apart because the free access throws he has. He's good with those.
Right.
I would agree with everything you said. That's where Ohio State, what we didn't have is a mobile quarterback. I think that that there could be some game plans to have Trinidad mobile like he was against Georgia, and you guys could be in it.
Yeah. That's what I'm hoping.
I think that's key. Well, Grant, I appreciate you coming on. That was great insight on the Ole Miss Rebels. And,
I appreciate you having me, Alan. I do have one question for you, Ohio State fans. There's rumors that I hear out there. Does Ryan Day dye his beard, or is that a natural color? What can you take a poll on here, or what's your take on that?
My take is natural, but I've heard rumors that it may not be.
It looks too clean to be natural.
I'm with you, Sammy. It's too clean. It's too dark. Even in the different playing conditions, it's always too dark. But anyway, I digress. Thanks for having me on. Good talking to you guys.
Yeah, you too. Thanks a lot, Grant. Appreciate it.
All
right, Sammy DeBold, just back to you and me. So let's talk about the Oregon-Texas Tech game. Obviously, it was totally dominated by Oregon. And, I go back to Dan Lanning after he beat JMU, and he was, I won't say pissed off, but he was not happy with the way his team ended that game. They jumped out to a big lead, and JMU came back and scored a bunch of points and made it, look like they scored a lot of points, but it was really when it wasn't in question. And what I saw from this game was both sides of the ball, the line of scrimmage was controlled by, even though not dominant on Oregon's offensive line of scrimmage, but pretty much they got what they wanted. But their line of scrimmage was controlled by both sides. So, Texas Tech, and you called this like from the beginning, who has Texas Tech really played? And I wish we had our buddy Tim on this to be the I won't call it the voice of reason, but to get Texas Tech side. He's a Texas Tech guy, graduate, and having 4 turnovers from Morton, and I don't know if it was his worst game that he's played, but it has to be one of them with 4 picks or 4 turnovers. Having that game to have your worst game is tough. But I just didn't think when Texas Tech looked across the line of scrimmage, they've seen anything like Oregon. Their speed, their size, and talent. So I'll get your take on it, but give me your thoughts.
Exactly what you said. I call it battle tested. I don't think that Texas Tech has been battle tested all year. Oregon has played in some real tough, rough games.
Right.
Some they won, some they lost, right? Penn State,
yes.
They won. They hosted Indiana, and Indiana pretty much took it to them, but they weren't out of that game ever, I don't recall.
No. It was, I mean, I don't think it was like in question, but I don't think it was like a total blowout. So, yeah.
And then the Iowa-Oregon game was a real tough one. And I just think that Oregon has been in those spots before. Not only that, but they have the athleticism, the talent, and the hard-nosed, roughness that right. You like to talk about. So I think Oregon is a very complete team. And I just, again, I was wrong on Georgia. I thought Georgia was going to steamroll Ole Miss, and I was wrong there. But I also thought that Ole Miss or that Oregon was going to just steamroll Texas Tech. Texas Tech.
I will say, I mean, I want to add one point. The that front like 6 or 7 from Texas Tech was as advertised. I looked up some of the stats, and they held the Oregon running backs for less than 3 yards per carry, which is pretty good. I mean, they have a pretty good.
That's surprising to
run.
hear, because Oregon missed those field goals, a couple of them, and that score could have been a lot worse.
Right, I agree. Yeah, the quarterback made plays downfield. I think the defensive backs weren't able to, hold their own against the wide receiver crew of Oregon. But they, Texas Tech had, I think,
turnovers killed them.
Yeah, the turnovers killed them. I mean, obviously, 4 turnovers, you're not going to win a game. But that front 7 from Texas Tech defense had 10 tackles for loss. That's pretty good. So, and had 4. I think they had 4 stops on 4th down. So, I think, it was at least 3 for sure.
I have an analogy that I'm going to use, and I'm going to call it a wrestling analogy, but it holds true for many sports, including college football and hockey. When you can just purely, and wrestling's a one-on-one sport, when you can just purely dominate somebody, you look good. And sometimes you get away with things that you wouldn't otherwise when you're playing against somebody that is as equally good or perhaps even better than you from a technical or physical standpoint. And I think that that's what Texas Tech did, is they just steamrolled everybody. They really haven't been tested. So when now you're against somebody that is just as equal or better than you, you can't get away with some of that BS that you get away with against somebody that's just not as talented as you. So what happens when you're, in a wrestling, in a wrestling analogy, what happens when you're one-on-one against that guy in the state tournament that you've never been tested like that because you got away with being sloppy because you just overpowered somebody that wasn't as good as you early in the season.
Right.
And I'm going to just kind of, hockey is the same thing. Football is the same thing. And I just don't think that Texas Tech necessarily had any of those tough games where they just were really tested. And maybe, I don't know this for a fact, but maybe their technique wasn't as good, their strength wasn't as good, and it showed.
Right. Yeah, I agree. And I don't want to beat a dead horse. Plus, I want to get to the problems I feel with that need to be fixed in college football.
And Al, if I can make a suggestion, we're almost at an hour, and I think we should get to the problems and maybe save our picks for another podcast, because that's going to be probably a whole nother 30 minutes if we go quick. I
agree. Okay. I need you to get your screen fixed so you're not playing Casper the Ghost every. You're like you're in and out with your screen. I don't know what causes that. But.
Is it better if I just go off screen?
No, everybody wants to see that gorgeous Sammy DeBull face.
High call.
All right, well let's get to this playoff system. Some of the things that these are my comments and comments that I've taken from other people that I think are good takes, but I think it needs to be adjusted. And I'm going to first go over, why I think this system needs changed, and we need a person in charge. We need a committee in charge that's going to do something for the long term. But first, top seeds are now 1-7 in these this playoff era. And that one lone win is Indiana. And there's a few reasons why I feel I just feel like they're getting it wrong. They've gotten almost everything wrong in this playoff system, in my opinion. And the reason I say that is there's, unlike the NFL where you have owners that have a long forward-thinking process for the betterment of the game, which would make their ownership in these franchises more money in the long run. They think forwardly. You have a bunch of people that are Joel Klatt used the term that I'm going to use this. I stole it from him. They're renters and they're not owners. They're just they're looking at the moment, what's going to be good right now, instead of what's good for the future of the kids, what's good for the future of college football. And they just don't have a long-term process. They had, like this year, one thing that I really was disappointed is the presentation of the college football playoffs. So only one network had that. Unlike football, you have two networks, they sometimes three, right? Networks that do the season and playoffs. So why not open this up so we get the best of the best instead of one network who I don't feel I didn't like the presentation at the game. I thought the presentation at I call it Wally World, at Jerry's World was horrible. The national anthem started before it was supposed to. There was just a lot of things that happened there that I thought the presentation was bad. That doesn't have. I don't know if that necessarily has anything to do with the TV, but I think it might. The location of the playoffs, the number one seeds, and this is one of my changes, not being able to have a home game. The bye teams. I'm sorry. They aren't. They're at a disadvantage, and they should.
Would you rather than play the first round?
Pardon me?
They're at a disadvantage. Why? They got to buy first round. Why are they at a disadvantage?
Because obviously we've seen that these teams come in that have already played a lot more sharp. So I think that having a home game for those number one seeds, those bye teams, opposed to going to a neutral field after not playing and not having that edge, I like to call it, I think that sort of negates some of that. At least it helps. I don't know if it negates. I think you're still going to come out flat. But if you're at home, if that game's played at home, you think Ohio State comes out flat? I don't think so.
Probably not. But there's a bigger picture of what you're painting here.
Go ahead.
I don't think the college playoff got it wrong this year in terms of what teams should be in and what teams should be out. Where I
disagree with that. I mean,
who should be in that wasn't in, and who should be out that should have been out?
Tulane and JMU had no business being in.
Correct.
Okay.
I agree there.
Okay.
But that's a system that they had to make to get rid of any lawsuits or allegations that.
Well, that's my point. It's wrong.
Okay.
You're making my point. It's wrong, right?
Okay.
You're saying they shouldn't be
fine. Who do you put in?
Texas, Notre Dame. Texas, Notre Dame. Easy. It didn't give me like a split second to think about. Sammy has been Sammy's got blown up for having a bad take. Hopefully we'll get him back. But to his point, he just because that's the system that they brought, that's my whole point. They have gotten that selection process wrong. And they've got the locations of these second round games wrong. They've got the single network presentation wrong. I would like to have someone tell me one thing that this selection committee did that was correct, because I can't find one. I've searched long and hard to find one thing that the way this playoff selection committee picks is correct. Not one. And if someone has one, please tell me. Please, I'm all ears because I've been searching. Sammy, welcome back.
Thank you.
I don't know if you heard, but I think you made my point that their selection process is wrong. I mean, those two teams should not have been in. Texas, Notre Dame should have been in. Okay. Oh, well, yeah. Okay. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. So we're talking about two teams that shouldn't have been in, and two other teams that should have been in. Do you
Yeah.
at least agree that maybe you throw a bone and one of those teams should have got in, like a JMU?
No. No.
Okay.
No.
If either
No.
of those teams went
So
undefeated, if either of those teams went undefeated, should they then get in?
well, I mean, if they're in the top 12 rankings, yes. If they're one of the top 12 teams and the rankings show that, yes.
How
Neither one
far
of those
off
teams
were either Tulane or JMU on that?
top 24, maybe 25.
Okay, so they were pretty far off.
Yeah, it wasn't even close.
Okay.
Not even close. All right. And my point was, when you left, was the committee didn't get one thing right. I'm sorry. This whole process, the playoff committee has not gotten any part of this correct. They haven't got the way they define the playoff teams. That's not correct. We just talked about that. We don't have a system where it's good for the teams that were deserving of a bye. They don't have that correct. The timing of that,
They're deserving of a bye. They got a bye. I don't know what more you want.
Well, I want them to be able to have home field advantage if they're not going to be able to have the 30-day layoff fixed.
No, I'm agreeing. I agree with that. I'm just saying that's home field or not. They decided that they were going to play them on neutral fields. I think it would be much better for all involved if they had a home game. But I don't.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It's not right.
The committee didn't hurt Ohio State by giving Ohio State a bye, or Georgia, or Texas Tech.
You're missing the whole point of this conversation. The whole point of this conversation, whoever the process of this playoff system, there's not one thing they have gotten correct. That's the point. I'm not saying the committee did that in a disservice.
Correct.
Oh my gosh, you are boneheaded. That's not the point of this issue. I'm going to start over and I'm going to tell you, not one thing they've done for this playoff system is done correctly. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that, the way it is now, I'm not saying anything about that. It's not, this playoff system is not correct. And do you want me to start over an explanation, or
I agree
do you now understand
with your points, other than they haven't done one thing right? We're in a college playoff system. Would you rather have it where we don't have the playoffs and we have the AP and the USA Today poll?
That's not what I'm saying, Sam. Sam, that's not what I'm saying. That's a whole different argument. We have a playoff system, is what I'm saying, correct? We have a system, and it is not correct. And they have not done one thing correct in this playoff system. That's what I'm saying. And tell me one thing they've done correctly, and I'll give you credit, but they have not.
Indiana was a 1 seed. Was that correct?
No, stop it.
Indiana received you're asking me. Indiana received a bye. If you're Indiana, would you rather have to play 5 games throughout, or including
that's not even close to the point I'm making. Or would you rather have the
bye? Which would you choose? Would you choose the bye, or would you choose the play?
Dan Lanning said, "I don't want to bye." So you tell me.
That's Dan Lanning. That's one person.
Well, I would have rather played. I'd rather play Tulane.
So we had this conversation in the past, how beat up you get playing, and how it takes several days to recover and all of that.
That's fine.
There's no right answer there. The right answer is yes. I agree with you. The right answer is play them at a home field advantage. I get that. And I think that if we do that, are you 100% happy?
No. Fix all these problems and I'll be happy. I just want to make sure we're having a discussion about what I'm trying to discuss and not.
I get it. I think you're painting the picture that it's horrible, and I'm painting the picture that it's not horrible. I agree with a lot of your points.
I just say they didn't get it right. I didn't say it was horrible.
You said that they didn't get one thing right. They got a lot right.
No, they didn't. No, I disagree. The seedings, of course, they got right. Not difficult. That's not an issue at all. They got the seedings correct. Hallelujah. Does that make it a great system?
It starts off. That's if they got the seedings right, then you're in the right direction. The right teams played.
Okay. No,
the
we
right
already
teams
did,
played
we
in
had
the
that
first round,
discussion.
minus the two teams that shouldn't have
Okay.
been in it.
Well, so the right teams did not play. But okay, go ahead. They got the seedings right.
I saw what they did last year, and they had all the conference champions buys first round. They recognized that was wrong, and they adjusted this year. Okay, so it's not a perfect system by any means, and I agree with you there. But
It's not even close. It's not.
Right.
You're painting a picture that it's okay. It's not okay.
There's a lot that's not okay with college football. I'll take it a step further with what you said that Joe Klatt said. Another thing that Joe Klatt said is this is $1 billion business, and we can't get the right referees. We pay them such insignificant amounts. They get plays that are horrible. They need to fix that as well throughout the season also. Like,
okay, well let's stay on point. I'm
just saying that there's a lot wrong with college football, but there's also a lot that's right.
Well, I'm trying to have a conversation about the playoffs. That's all I'm trying to do.
Okay,
and
fair
I
enough.
know that you try to make your points more valid by bringing up other points, and that's not the point of this.
Okay.
The point is that I'm trying to fix the college playoffs, and these are the things that I feel that are wrong. And there's only one thing that you could come up with this current playoff system that they got right, the top 4 teams, which is a freaking 5-year-old could do that. I'm talking about the big picture issues. I'm talking about.
Okay, your point's well stated. I could poke some holes into that as I did, but I'm not gonna dwell on it. Let's move on.
There's no holes. It's facts. There's no holes. It's facts. That is the one thing they got right, and it's a 5-year-old could do it. They were the 4 best teams on paper. The way the system.
What I'm saying
no one
is
would have
we
argued
knew that it was going to be a neutral field before the season started, so it's not lopsided.
That's not my point. That's not my
They
point.
decided that they were going to put them in neutral fields. It's not like all that.
Oh my God.
It's not all that horrible that they're not playing at home. Yes, would I have liked to see a home game? 100%. But that's just not how the system was set up. So, is it right or wrong? You and I would say it'd be better if they did.
Everybody in
right.
America would
100%
say that
wrong.
would be more fair. Everybody in America. They got it wrong, Sam. They got it wrong.
Let's talk about the top
not right.
4 teams that got the buys. Let's talk about that. You said 1-7. I think last year was so wrong that they were what, 0-4?
Yeah.
Okay, so that was completely wrong last year because the right teams didn't get the buys in my mind. Would you agree with that?
I don't even want to like this again. I don't know why we can't stay on topic of what I'm trying to get across.
Okay.
It really, I mean, I don't give 2 shits about last year, to be honest with you. I'm talking about this year. They didn't get one thing right.
They were 1-7 in the last 2 years. That happens to be last year. That's
okay. All right. 1-3.
Okay. So can I dissect the 1-3?
The only team that won was the best team by far. Wasn't even close.
Yes, agreed.
Okay,
Can I dissect that a little bit more? The first team that played was Ohio State. They looked flat. Who was the second team that played? It was Oregon, Texas Tech, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Texas Tech looked flat. So at that point, that's what I'm thinking is they came out flat. Is it because they had such a long layoff? They had the bye? Perhaps yes, and probably yes. The next team that played was Indiana. They did not look flat, obviously.
I disagree. They came out and their first few possessions weren't that good, but go ahead.
Okay. And then the last team that played was Georgia. I don't think Georgia looked that flat in the first quarter. I think they looked flat more as the game went on.
They went down. They got down early.
Okay. Did they look as flat as Ohio State? Definitely not, right?
No.
Okay. So after the first 2 games, I was sold on that. But after the next 2 games, I'm not sure. I don't have an opinion strongly on one or the other.
Well,
in
obviously
terms
I
of
do.
Georgia coming out flat and Indiana coming out flat. Like, so it's a 50-50 there. I mean, Georgia lost the game in the second half, not the first half.
Okay, so that was just one of the points that I made about the bye teams. They have earned the right for the bye. They have earned a right. If you are going to have a 26-day layoff, they should be afforded. They should be afforded a home game just to offset some of those issues that have occurred by having not only waiting so long, but also having a bye week and not being able to play James Madison or Tulane.
I'm in agreement with you. All of that stuff.
All right, perfect. So they didn't get it right. That's my point. Okay, yeah. So the other part of this is,
do you think they'll change that going forward?
I hope so. I think with enough pressure.
And realize that Ohio State took advantage of that last year. They were on the benefit of that.
I agree. And so did, and Oregon's coach said the same thing. He said, should have Texas Tech had a home game? Absolutely. He's like, am I happy they didn't? Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, you said I heard it from Joel Klatt. That's exactly who I heard it from, was Dan Lanning.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, and I think that's, anybody that is been in competition and has been involved in these types of situations can understand, can feel it. You do. You get, you can practice all you want, but until that live action happens and someone actually, you can, like Mike Tyson says, you can have a perfect game plan until someone smacks you in the mouth, and then then it's on. So anyway, so we're in agreement. Those things need to be changed, and I hope you're in agreement that even though that we're trying to do playoff, the other part that I think is that college football is trying to serve two things here. They're trying to serve the bowls, people that they make tons of money off of, and they're trying to implement a playoff system with those two things. And unfortunately, you can't do that. In my opinion, the bowls are not, I won't say unwatchable, but pretty close. People opting out.
Michigan, Texas was a great game.
Yeah, well, I knew I 100%. I almost said you were going to say that, but I didn't. Yeah, but I'm just saying, for the most part, they're unwatchable.
Weren't some other bowl in the old system? Weren't a lot of bowls unwatchable then too? There's too many of them. There were, at least. There probably still are.
Well,
a lot of them were unwatchable too.
Yeah, they were. And now add the fact that the best players aren't even playing anymore.
I know.
It makes it even worse. It's just like a glorified scrimmage. I understand the coaches get another practice schedule, and they also get another game to play. It's like a practice game. I mean, great. I didn't watch any. I didn't even watch the Texas.
Hey, by the way, Penn State Clemson, I thought was, two teams in the toilet bowl that were both ranked in the top 10, maybe even the top 5 at the beginning of the year. It's glad to see those teams play as well.
Didn't watch it.
Yeah,
no interest.
It was a good game.
Yeah, good for you. Yeah, hallelujah. I'd rather watch playoffs football and
Alan,
have it done correctly.
In terms of the system, if they changed it to the second round of the playoffs, the better seed, who is the bye team, host the first round at their college stadium, whose pockets do you take the money out of by doing it that way?
You're talking about teams that earned the bye week?
No. What I'm saying is, let's just say they got their bye and they got a chance in the second round after the bye to host the game. You
don't take it out of anybody's pockets. That's part of the that's part of the earnings.
Shouldn't that be an easy change? If it's about money,
yes. The problem
my answer
is,
to my own question is, you're taking it out of the Sugar Bowl's pocket. You're taking it out of the Cotton Bowl's pocket. But maybe you make the Final Four the Sugar Bowl, the Cotton Bowl, the Miami Gardens game, Orange Bowl, and
that's what it was all supposed to be. Those bowls were all supposed to be that's the way. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, that's what it was.
Solution then, right? Like who's gonna Who's going to retaliate on that? Who's going to be upset with that?
Well, because the history of the Cotton Bowls in Dallas, the history of the Orange Bowl. I mean, the Orange Bowl. You can play the Orange Bowl at Ohio State.
No. But what I'm saying is, instead of making those games the quarterfinals, maybe you make those games the semifinals.
Agreed. Done. Oh, okay. I like that.
And then whatever the granddaddy of them all, call it the Rose Bowl, call it whomever, then you make another one the national championship game.
I'm in. Let's do it.
I don't know how it stands now. I don't even know what they.
We played in the Cotton Bowl, and the Orange Bowl was played in the Orange Bowl. And
I'm talking about for the semifinals. Like, are those games like?
No,
Cotton
they're
Bowl,
just
Orange Bowl?
I don't think they're anything.
Yeah.
Well,
so
I don't know.
It makes it better for everybody involved.
Hold on. Hold your tickets. So they are playing a game in the Fiesta Bowl, right? Arizona. That's where Ole Miss and Miami are playing.
Okay, I didn't know that. Okay.
I didn't either until Grant told me. And they're playing the Orange Bowl.
Again.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't know. I mean, so the other point I was going to make is why are we waiting 25 days? Let's move it forward. Why are we competing with the football playoffs? Let's move it forward. That's my other point.
I would, Ellen, I'm agreeing with all of that.
Good.
The only, I'll make this brief. I don't think 100% of it's wrong. I think there's a lot of good. And I'm painting the picture of maybe more optimism, where I think you're painting the picture of more it's all wrong.
I think wrong.
There's a lot that's good to be taken out from it.
I enjoyed watching
our disagreement lies.
I enjoyed watching it. I think I love college football and I loved watching them all, but they got it wrong. Period. You can't say they got it partially right. They didn't. There's not one part they got wrong. They got the top seeds right.
Would you be this upset if Ohio State won?
Yes.
I don't know about that.
Yes, it's wrong. I'm a college football fan. It's wrong.
I didn't hear you complaining about it last year when Ohio State.
We didn't have a podcast. I said last year they should have got the bye. I said that.
We don't need to have a podcast to talk college football and be friends.
Well,
I never heard it once from you, by the way.
Well, because I never get a word in edgewise.
That's true.
So I'm a listener when we normally talk. I have to have my own.
That is a true statement.
I have to have my own live stream so I can talk first. True story. All right. I want to thank our sponsor, Wentz Insurance Agency, for all your insurance needs. Go to Wentz Insurance, 740-653-5535. I want to thank all the listeners that came on there. And I know we'll have some listeners that listen after the fact. And I hope to hear some of the comments, some of the questions, and anything else you would like to hear on our podcast. I want to thank Sammy the Bull, Grant, for coming in today. Great insight as always, and we will try to do better. And please try to be kind to one another. You never know what other people are going through. Sometimes even just acknowledging their presence can pick their day up. And
especially this time of the year.
Yeah, this time of the year is always tough for people. Depression's a real thing. Mental health is a real issue in our country, and doesn't take anything to be kind. So try to be kind to one another, and try to be kind to us for our technical difficulties on our podcast. So I know I'll have
see you
some
next
comments
when we break down the Final Four.
We have to get back to that, but we're definitely going to break down the Final Four. This was a lot longer. I have January 5th coming up, a very special live stream with the king of breath work, Dan Brule. It's going to be on my wellness site, Run Good Lifestyle, and we're going to be talking everything breath work and grounding, and we're going to get into
anxiety. What time is that on January 5th?
It's 2:00 Eastern time, January 5th. I will be I actually put some stuff on social media, so you can just go to Run Good Lifestyle, subscribe, and hit the little dingy button to give yourself a reminder to get into the live stream January 5th. 2 p.m. Eastern time.
That's Monday, right?
I'm not sure if it's Monday. I think it is Monday.
Yeah, it's Monday.
But it's gonna be great. I'm really super stoked. He's an amazing. He's world renowned. He's worked with Navy SEALs. He's actually worked with Tony Robbins. He's an amazing dude. So very excited about that. Again, thanks everybody, and we will be back in a few days to talk about the matchups. Thanks again. Take care. Thanks, Sam.
Everybody. Bye.